All right, everybody, what's going on? It's Modern Micro back with another video, and it's gonna be a little bit of a, you know, different kind of video for you guys. It's gonna be a little bit opinion based, a little biased. I'll be honest, but overall, I think it's a real talking point and a little bit of a hot take that people aren't really discussing in the investment world when it comes to sealed Pokemon. Um, as we know, we have had a insane run as of late, but then also just in the past 2 3 years with the hype. And I think overall, you have to really dissect where your money is best allocated, and really see what is noise, what is you know a spin narrative of a certain set, uh, certain people trying to scare you out, false rumors about reprints, things of that nature. And a lot of people, what they want to lean into is retired and legacy sets, older sets, non-modern sets to escape the noise, and they know what they have is a true collectible, and it hasn't been uh, in production for years, and it's a safe haven almost. Um, the only problem with that is, yeah, it could be a safe haven, but at the same time, you're likely missing out on a lot of gains, and you're not really seeing the true value in what the underlying set actually holds. And what I mean by that is, as we see here, XY Evolutions up 85%, right, in the past year, and in the past month has stayed relatively flat, up 5%. So this is a $2,400 set, or $2,400 booster box. Meanwhile, Evolutions is a straight garbage set. It's not even worth it. You can master set this for less than $1,000. There's nothing special in here. You have a reprinted Charizard from base set, and just these mega EXs. So nothing really insane in this set. There's nothing cool about it. You have again more reprints and things that just flopped. Meanwhile, the sealed box is $2,400. Um, this is an insane premium just for sealed. Actually, a 2.56 times premium just for the sealed product. Meanwhile, and so 2.56 times premium for just for it being sealed in comparison to the set value and the actual booster box. So already a huge discrepancy there. I get it, it's a collectible. I get it looks nice. It has Raichu, Charizard Y, and Mega Blastoise. But at the end of the day, it's an overvalued set. But yet it got here, and so I'm not gonna overlook that it got there, right? And I think that that will be a basis point here. What I'm about to mention. Now we're not gonna look at a specialty set. Let's just look at a base set, right? Sword and Shield base set came out about 6 years or so, 6 years ago, a little bit over 6 years, and we see here that it's holding at around 675 value, right? Market price holding at around 680, and obviously it's not the most liquid set, but as we see here in history, it has not taken a dramatic fall. It has stayed steady. It's again kind of like a safe haven to most people, and it's a again complete shit set. Your best card is a secret rare, that rainbow rare that nobody likes, $85 Snorlax, and then the second best card is again the Snorlax. Third best set, Marnie Trainer full art, and then another Snorlax full art. There is nothing special to this set. There's nothing really enticing about this set. It is a very lackluster set, to say the least, and it has this huge premium only just for being a sealed product and a legacy product. Now let's look at a more modern set, a really, you know, set that nobody really likes. It's been put into vending machines. It's been overlooked. It was in a time where it was released around the time where Prismatic Evolutions was also being printed. Um, it's Surging Sparks. Surging Sparks right now, booster box of $250, right? Market price of 254. We see here they're selling. There's about 40, 30, 22 in the last 2 days, 45 in 2 days prior, 30 in 2 days prior. Very liquid set. So we know that, this price is really just set, and this is what the market is really giving it in terms of value. The only thing is, this is $1,200 set, and it's still in print, right? So not only is the set in print, which will likely, with time, accumulate and appreciate in value in terms of the cards, because they'll be harder to find. Less packs are being read because it just naturally won't be in print. And then obviously, whatever is getting ripped, the sealed product will just the product in nature is a depreciating asset. Or not a depreciating asset. Sorry, guys. A anti-inflationary asset. It's a deflationary asset, and so as a result, there'll be less on the market. It's still a collectible at the end of the day, and people will be a lot more enticed to buy this at a higher price, especially once time does its thing, and eventually this card gets out of print. I believe this block will be in about a year or so, and in Surging Sparks, where it's not being in print, and then it'll be officially retired um, by then. So Surging Sparks, it's not a great set. I'll be honest, it's not the best set in the world, but it's a steady set, $1,200 set. It has a $300 chase, and it's at a very reasonable price, under $300. If you want to compare to Sword and Shield base set, which is just complete garbage, and we're gonna give it the same time frame, right? Where it's right now 2026, 6 years after its release, it shot up to $700, and it's a set that nobody wants a card from. So if we're talking about Surging Sparks, something that is a $250 set, and in the same time frame, let's say by 2028, when this released in 2024, okay, so by 2030, you see a 3x, and that's baseline. That's the bare minimum. If you see a 3x, $250 to $750 a set by 2030. Give it another 3 years, 3.5 years. You're telling me this isn't gonna be a little bit more than just what this guy is right here, at sitting damn near at $700 a box? Or how about Evolutions sitting at $2,500 a box? Again, very much older, right? I think this one released in 2016. Give it another 4 years, you're gonna see another double from 2030. 2034, you see Surging Sparks be $2,000 a box. I don't think so, right? I don't think that's gonna happen. But the run to where Sword and Shield is right now, and other lackluster sets, just because of the scarcity alone, I think will just do its job. And that's in the sealed product, right? In the actual booster boxes and things of that nature, little ancillary items, they'll do its thing. They'll figure their own market out. But in terms of just, price per pack and scarcity, and how many people are ripping open these, you know the modern pop of, ripping ships. I think it's just a matter of time until, this booty chew is going to be a $500 card, and then by then this is a 2000, let's say a $2,500 set, right? Everything else appreciates a little bit more, and everything doubles from here on out. Will this not just make the proposition a bit better now to, not just appreciate it because of the scarcity and, the booster box set in general being not ripped as much and not printed as much, but then also being a good set now. Again, people overlook the set right now because it is 2 years old. But if this had $1,000 price, would people still be saying the same thing? I'm not too sure about that. I'm not too sure. If the Latias was a $300 card, would anybody have a problem with Surging Sparks? I don't think so. But I think as time will do its thing, and these will appreciate to that price. Now what would be the narrative there that will drive the price down? I don't think there's anything that will beat just time in the market, and having this set appreciate alongside other sets. Black Bolt, White Flare. That's another comparison I did want to make in this video, but because it is a specialty set, it doesn't have a booster box. I didn't want to just compare booster bundles and go through price per pack. But honestly, that's another set where, time will do its thing, and the set value is already a very, very, very strong number as is, right? It's just because it's a year older than Surging Sparks, and around the same time as Destined Rivals, which I still believe is a little overpriced, but it has that Team Rocket premium, so you can't really ignore that. Surging Sparks, could it get a Pikachu premium? I'm not too sure. I don't think so. But if it does happen, this narrative will flip change, and that's not even what I'm banking on. It's rather just time doing its thing. So that's my little. That's how I see things. I think you gotta be patient. I mean, in the stock market, it's impossible to get a double, let alone a triple, a quadruple on a stock. They have to do, be really special and compound over time, and that may take 10, 15 years rather than something like this where you can see a 10x, a true 10x on your initial investment if you play your cards right. We'll see here. I mean, Evolving Skies, and we're gonna pivot now into price per pack. It's something that when people talk about real value in a set, real appreciation in a sealed product, don't look any further than Evolving Skies. I mean, Evolving Skies sitting at $6,500 the set, right? Around $42 per pack. Okay, that's not really that notable as is by itself, right? We know it's a older set. We know it's not in print anymore. We know it's from Sword and Shield. Scarlet and Violet, it's still in print. Mega gonna be in print. This is just getting older and older, appreciating, and we see here in the past year, it's up 74%, just the pack alone, right? So $42, that's a price target. I think that is a price target for what we should be looking forward to with Prismatic and Ascended Heroes. Prismatic, as much as it has been printed to the floor, you can't deny not only is a chase card I would say better. I think the set value overall is just going to appreciate and lap Evolving Skies at some point. I don't know when that would be, but I think at some point Prismatic will lap Evolving Skies in terms of set value. whether that's when it's still in print, whether it's not in print, whether it's heavily printed to the ground or ignored, and it's something like Ascended Heroes is prioritized. But when we're talking about Ascended Heroes sitting at $12 a pack, we have a set that is above Evolving Skies already, right? And that's not because it's items are scarce and reprints might kill it. I honestly think that this is really reasonable for what, not only how hard these are to pull, but then also to find and also the demand. I mean, let's be honest. If we're talking about $12 a pack, Prismatic didn't fall, all that much from $12. I mean, it fell down to 8. You cut that not even by half. You're getting a 30% discount on a set. I don't think this entire set value will fall by 30%. If that's the case, then I'll be proven wrong. I'll definitely be proven wrong. But just the amount of hype, the amount of excitement that is behind this set, I don't see a world where this will fall to the Prismatic levels. And the only reason why Prismatic fell was because it was printed to the ground. It was printed down to the ground to $8. Will the same happen to Ascended Heroes? I'm not too sure. But regardless, it is still a much bigger set. When Pokemon said that they were printing Prismatic, they said this publicly. When they said publicly that they're printing Prismatic to their fullest potential, right? That is a telltale sign that the demand was insane. I still don't think that the demand that Pokemon needed, that same demand that Pokemon needed to make an announcement that they're printing Prismatic to the floor, even compares to the demand that is in Ascended Heroes. This is the biggest set that has came out in the past 4 years or so. And I don't think that's crazy to say. I don't think 151 is all that bigger. 151, it did have the hype, but it didn't have the set value, right? Prismatic had the hype and set value, but Ascended Heroes just has a much higher set value, and in my opinion, if you're gonna ask me, a lot more diversity. Prismatic, it has a Pikachu, it has the evolutions. That's about it. I mean, if you're not a big Eevee guy, evolution person, you don't really care that much about Prismatic. You just really know that it's valuable, and the Sunbreon, right? That's, you can appreciate the card art, but you don't resonate a lot with it. With the Ascended Heroes, you have everything to resonate with. You have a Gen 2 starter, Lily's Clefairy. You have N Zoroark, just a character arc of N. You have Gengar. You have Pikachu. You have Dragonite. You have a Charizard. You have a Mewtwo. You have another Gen 2 starter in Meganium. You have a Psyduck, a Gen 1 Pokemon. I mean, Emboar, Gen 5 starter. Am I missing something here? This set has everything for everybody, right? A Generation 1 enjoyer, a Gen 5 enjoyer, a Gen 7 enjoyer, a collector's paradise with all these IRs and SIRs. I don't see where somebody can see the set and say, oh, no, there's nothing there for me. There's nothing here for me. Metagross, Gen 3, right? So, or is it Gen 4? I'm not too sure. I think it's Hoenn. So, there's something here for everybody, and I think just that alone, similar to Evolving Skies. I will compare this to Evolving Skies a little bit closer, and just because you have the Umbreon, the evolutions, but then you also have the Dragonite and Rayquaza. So just with those three factors alone, I think I will compare it a little bit closer to Evolving Skies, and the demand will just be insane. There's artificial floor for sure because of the amount of product that is out right now. You only have, 3 pack blisters, um, and little ancillary items like that, and the ETBs. But even with the booster bundles coming out, and all of that sort, that won't change anything. I genuinely do not think that will change anything. We see here the lows of $11 per pack, and I think we're gonna hover at an artificial bottom, and it's not because I personally you know want that to happen. I have no skin in this game. I have actually no ascended heroes right now, but I truly just see this set, just having the best, bang for your buck alongside Prismatic, just because we see how Evolving Sky is appreciated, you know, now to date. So invest in modern product. Do what you gotta do to get more modern product. This Pokemon boom isn't going anywhere. There is no uh, light at the end of the tunnel. People will always, resonate with their hobbies, especially people my age, 20 years old, Gen Z. They don't care about going out to parties, going out, getting FOMO, and, going out to get a drink and do everything of that sort and being really social. They lean into what they grew up on and their hobbies and what really resonates them with them at a deep core level. And people are going back to their roots, going to Pokemon, going to collecting, all that sort. And I think it is just the beginning of the boom. You know, I grew up with Generation 5, and and onwards. I was around, when did Gen 5 come out? 2012. I was I was 7 years old, 6 years old, and I grew up Gen 5 onwards, and I finally have some money that I can not just play the games, buy the games myself, but then collect the cards of the characters that I just deeply enjoyed. And I mean that's people my age, right? We're not talking about the people who have a lot of money. A lot of 20-year-olds don't have a lot of money. Let's talk about 25-year-olds, the people who grew up with Gen 3, Generation 3, Generation 4, Generation 2, even the real boom of people who are age 30. They really went through the whole boom, the whole Pokemon um, build out, and those are the people who are whales, who are real whales. And when whales get involved, and this is another thing, we see how in the stock market, how accumulation, raises a flora of a stock. When real whales come in, you're not. This isn't gonna be a hobby for kids anymore. That's long gone. This is a marketplace. This is a collector's paradise, a money machine, a money printer. As much as it is a collector's, in theory, a collector based um, product, a collector based product, there's big money involved. And when big money is involved, there is going to be a little bit of manipulation. There's going to be buyouts. There is going to be huge market moves, huge market swings. But that's the nature of it. That's when it's healthy. When demand goes, people chase. Why would people chase on something that they don't really care for that much, right? And so when we say whales are in control, that doesn't mean that they're the only ones paying $13 a pack. Little Timmy and we're gonna pay $13 a pack for this because not only do we see the value in the underlying set here with the Sunbreon, but then we also see the value of the investment compared to Evolving Skies, and big money sees that as well. And whether people like it or not, whether people are ripping packs, whether people are collecting the cards. The price appreciation, as history shows, will come to fruition with these modern packs. And I believe that the items in that set are a lot better than what has been in previous sets, such as we see here Sword and Shield, Evolutions, and even Evolving Skies for that matter. I mean, even Evolving Skies for that matter. And we see here $42 a pack. That looks, you know, relatively cheap when we compare it to something like Soaring Skies. And that's closer to, $70 per pack. If we want to really set price targets, that's kind of where this thing goes, right? We wanted to talk about a Sun and Moon set, a Sword and Shield set, and a Scarlet Violet set, and a Mega set. That's really how it's gonna go, right? Your first stop is $42, and then your next stop really is 75 and onwards, because you set that floor, that baseline already with previous, you know, S tier sets like Soaring Skies, Roaring Skies, and Evolving Skies, right? And now with Prismatic, regardless of how much are in print, regardless of anything, and now with big money involved, it's just gonna amplify that a lot more, and we'll see that with the volume. We'll see that with the amount of purchases people are doing with these packs. How much more content there's going to be on social media, how much more attention is going to be on Pokemon. We see it already right now, but this is just the beginning. and it's changed. It really has changed. But anyways, guys, went on a little tangent at the end, but I'm glad I was able to speak my mind and really maybe help you guys a little bit, maybe not. I think this is just the beginning. I think, if you're just buying individual packs, you could do that. If you want to buy little ancillary items, probably harder to move, but nonetheless, it still has the packs in them. And be mindful. Be mindful of what you're buying, and not buy it for anybody. Play it safe, right? Play it safe. Go to real vendors, card shops. Even if you're paying a little bit of a premium, at the end of the day, you will be happy that you got involved and you engaged with the hobby and you actually enjoy it, right? And because with time, you'll make your money back and then some, and you can say that you enjoyed having the interactions that you had with vendors, and you enjoyed going to card shows and doing coin tosses and doing all that sort. Or if you just want to buy and hold, hey, you're not gonna lose money. You're gonna have volatility for sure, especially for more modern sets. You'll have volatility for sure, but at the end, long term, if you like the set and where things can go, and you see history, you'll be fine. You can sleep at night really holding on to a lot of these sets. So anyways, it's been Modern Micro. Thank you guys for watching, and stay safe.